I have a question for you. What is your biggest flex living in the world and the society that we live in today? I will go first. So for me, my biggest flex is that I will always choose the hard path over the easy path when I am given the opportunity. And I have done this so often that now for me, inside my brain and inside my wiring, it is now the pathway of least resistance, so it's actually the easiest thing for me to choose. Let me explain. Firstly, I need to explain that our brains are energy reserving organs. They are evolved this way. They are evolved to pick the easiest pathway to reserve as much energy as possible. It's a survival mechanism. Why is it important to know this? It's important to know this because ultimately it might be possible that if you choose the easy option or you feel lazy in areas of life, that this actually might not be like a personal flaw. However, we always have a choice. And I can't stress that enough. When we become adults in the sort of world and society that we live in like a first world country, we have many choices. And the power is ultimately inside of us. But in order to do that work, it is hard work. You don't want to be that self-development junkie that has all the right information but applies zero. And the choice that we have is the choice that I often mention to my clients. In many areas of life, we will be given an easy path or the hard path. The easy path is easy to choose. It has the least resistance inside it initially, but ultimately it bears problems later down the line. Whereas the hard path is full of resistance because it requires more work initially, but it bears fruit later down the line. And the more often that we end up choosing the hard path, but ultimately probably the right path for our development or our relationships or our career or whatever it might be, the happier inside of ourselves we will feel later down the line. It's easy to feel good about ourselves in the moment. We live in a world that fills us with opportunities of dopamine at any cost. A world that is overly consumed with telling you that happiness lives inside your appearance. A world that will give you something at the click of a button and will tell you that your happiness will live inside of it. And it will. It will for a couple of moments, maybe a couple of hours. But you know as well as I know, it will be short-lived. But we have a choice. It's much easier to fill my face with toxins and tell myself that I will like myself at the end of it than it is to do the internal work where we know that happiness is truly sourced. It's easier for me to say that people are just like this, relationships are like this, and just accept poor, toxic behaviour than it is for me to address the issue. It's easier for me to consume easy, digestible food that ultimately causes more problems in the future. It's easy to escape my problems through my phone or through consuming endless hours of nonsense. It's easy for me to get a job and be in employment rather than genuinely have aspirations that possibly seen as unrealistic to the people around me. It's easier to accept life the way that it is and assume that that's the way that it just has to be. But next time you are given the opportunity, and it will be many times, I want you to remember this moment of watching this video if you've got this far. When you are given the path of least resistance and most resistance, so easy path versus hard path, which one are you going to choose?